All right, gentlemen, what's up, guys? Weird to be in here. I'm Aaron, I'm an addict. Who's got a shot of Keefy? Still got that here? I've done a couple rounds at this place, and that's actually 1617 is where I laid my head. Anybody in here addicts? I don't know who the I'm talking to here. All right, that's a good number. That's a fair number. I grew up down in Whitehall. My dad, he ends up going to jail for writing like fraudulent prescriptions for codeine. Yeah, so my dad gets busted for that. Come to find out, like he's been a heroin addict. He was in Vietnam. That's where he started doing heroin. Mom moved out. Dad stayed in the house. My dad's pretending to be clean, so my mom says like you can come out and live with me in Johnstown, or you can stay where you are in Whitehall and live with your dad. So I stick with Dad. I'm in middle school at this point, and things they appear normal to me because like I guess I'm ignorant and I don't know what's going on. But I noticed my dad spending a lot of time in the bathroom. I never really see him because he's literally like by the time I got home from school, he's in the bathroom and he's in there till I get up to go to school in the morning. That consumes my dad more and more, and like I really don't ever see him. Like he goes to work, he comes home, he sits in the bathroom all night, and that's just what I know of my dad at that point. My dad just goes deeper and deeper into addiction, gets involved with loan sharks, kind of pulls me aside and said, hey, like I owe some people some money, so they're probably going to come knock on the door looking for me. My dad, knowingly owing loan sharks money, leaves his 10-year-old, 11-year-old son in the house. One day it happens, they knock on the door, but this time it's a little more aggressive. I still don't answer the door. I do my usual. I go hide in the kitchen until they walk away. This time, they started just shooting through the door, man. Broke every bit of glass, just shot the fucking house up, man. I'm 11 at this point, I'm scared shitless. This whole time I'm not telling my mom anything that's going on because again, I know what that means. That means I'm gonna go have to live with mom and there's rules. So this one I had to tell her about. So this time I didn't have a choice. She sent me all the way out to Johnstown. So yeah, I am living at my mom's house. I'm absolutely miserable. I have no friends. So I'm sitting at my mom's house one day and I see this commercial on TV. It's like, hey, do you want to be a professional wrestler? You live in the Columbus area? Well, give us a call. I give him a call. I'm like, listen, man, like, I love wrestling. And I'd probably say some weird shit like, oh, Hulk Hogan's my favorite wrestler. Begging for him to let me join. He's like, nah, bro, sorry, you're a kid. Like, yeah, this is for 18 and above. I proceeded to call this man every single day, probably many times a day, until finally he's like, I'll tell you what, man, just to shut you up, like you get your parents to sign a waiver, you can come in, you can train, but you get hurt, man, like you're on your own. These are big, like 250-pound guys. I come across this promoter guy who's like, hey man, so this guy by the name of Jerry the King Lawler. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna bring Jerry in, and we just need a guy that he can just beat the shit out of and make him look good. I'm like, yeah, bro, I can be that guy. So like I go in there and I walk in and like I'm super excited. He's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't give a bro, like you're the man. Tell me what to do. His finishing move back in the day was a pile driver. Yeah, picked up and then dropped on your head. So I'm in there and I'm like, I'm just trying to show off because like this is like a hero of mine growing up. And I'm like, yeah, once you pick me up for the pile driver, man, I'll make it look like $1 million. He pile drives me, drops him right in my head, and then like I just go numb everywhere, man. Yeah, I'm laying there like, what the just happened? I can't feel my legs, can't feel my arms. I go to the hospital a couple weeks later and they tell me I have a broken neck. So that's when I was like introduced to like Percocet, Perk 30s. I took them, I loved it. I was like, wow, this is what I've been missing my entire life is this feeling. That's when the journey, like the downhill f***ing shit show started, was probably at age 20 when I took that first drug. I get cut off from the doctor, so now I'm like finding, people like me who can get me these pills. Somebody comes and puts the idea in my ear, and I'm sure we've all heard this, that like heroin's like the cheaper alternative. So I start using heroin. So yeah, now I'm on the streets of Columbus. I have absolutely no place to go, man. I'm probably 30 at this point, and for the next 10 years, it's just a deep hole of being homeless, flying a sign, making money, getting dope, going to the shelter, repeat. Every single day for 10 years. And I was totally cool with that, man. Like I was probably making more money flying a sign than if I had a real job. I've convinced myself by this point, like, okay, like I don't have a house, but like the shelter puts me up. I don't have to pay them rent. I get to leave when I want. I go fly a sign, make ridiculous amounts of money, and do my drugs. So for 10 years, I'm thinking like, this is life, man. I go to court for the first time. They offer me a deal of settling out to 3 F4 trespassing charges with 3 years probation and 3 years of prison over my head. So sure enough, I did 134 days in here. By 134 days and a half, I had a needle in my arm. So I do probation and like I fail immediately. So I've got like 4 dirties back to back to back. So I'm just like, this, man, I'm on the run. They have to catch me. They catch me. I'm back in the workhouse yet again, like, how did I get here? How am I such a terrible criminal? And then, yeah, I go see the judge, and he's like, well, I gave you ample opportunity, so now you're going to prison. They send me to Pickway. So, yeah, I do my time there, and then they trick me into this, like, treatment transfer program. They send me out to the Grafton prison for a couple months, and then I do the rest of my time in a halfway house. So I'm back to what I know. I'm flying a sign. I'm going to get dope. I'm going to trap. Repeat. So my spot when I fly is out on Livingston Avenue and 70. There's a little off-ramp out there. That was my sweet spot, man. I'm out there, a random day, and this lady pulls up, like this little like white lady, and you know, she's got her 3 kids in the suburban van. She gives me a sandwich and starts telling me about Jesus. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, you know, are you gonna give me money or not? You know, I shoot her off, not thinking anything twice, man. This lady, for some reason, like, she came back a month later and like again gave me a sandwich and didn't give me any money. So I'm like, yeah, I don't care. You. Then for some reason, man, just like kept coming back and like harassing me about this Jesus business, and I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll take the sandwich, thanks. So one day this lady was like, you know, you don't have to live like this, right? My family, we have a house in Pickerington, like we have a basement set up like an apartment, like you can come live there, rent free, we'll get your shit together. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, nah, man, like, I'm good on that. Like, I've got a shelter to stay in. That's gonna interfere with my doing drugs. Pickerington is not on a bus line, so yeah. that, man. So I go back to the shelter one night, it's the middle of winter time, and like my dumb ass gotten lazy at this point. Like, I don't even bother hiding my drug. Put my crack and my heroin down in my cigarette pack, and like I go in, you know, they pop it open, and I'm like, oh, what's that? I've never seen that before in my life. So I get tossed out of the shelter. It's brutally cold outside, so I'm like, what to do now? So I thought of like the Jesus lady. I was like, all right, man, well, you know, at least I'll crash there for a night. So I call her. I don't know if you remember me a couple months ago. You told me I could come live with you. 10 minutes later, she was there to pick me up, man. It was probably like the best thing that ever happened to me and the worst thing that ever happened to her, because she was a sweet lady, man, and like she was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Lived in a $500,000 house, and again, it's one of those situations where I just fall asshole backwards into dumb luck, man. So like I'm kicking it, like she's got 3 kids and a husband and like a big ass house, and they like gave me the royal treatment down in the basement, man. They loaded it up with all my favorite snacks and shit. Somehow I manipulated my way into having her take me to the off-ramp every day so I can still go fly. This is a sweet setup here, man. I'm living good. I just George Jefferson my way ass to Pickerington, man. So, the best is yet to come, man. The best is yet to come. All right, so I'm living with this family, and then somehow, like, the lady that comes and tells me to come in, like, we're hanging out more and more. The husband's got, like, a real job. He's making $150K a year. He's doing 9 to 5, but from, like, midnight to, like, 3 in the morning, her and I would just hang out and kick it, and long story short, like, we ended up getting feelings for each other. Now we're, like, around in her house, like after these feelings have occurred, we told each other like we like each other. So we spent a month like dicking around behind her husband's back.
I'm talking about the lady?
Yeah, the husband's in the bedroom asleep while I'm downstairs on his couch, you know, around with his wife. One day I'm out flying my sign, I'm on the phone with her, husband walks in while she's talking to me, and he's like, why do you sound all giddy and girly on the phone while you're talking to him? And then she kind of like told him. So we have a sit down with the husband. This is a Christian family at this point. Like they're super Christian. He says, hey man, I get it. Like my wife is beautiful. I get why you have these feelings, but like we can't do that. Number one, he's like, I'm not going to kick you out. You just can't be spending time with my wife. The gentleman or the night and he was like, well, I just can't do that, sir. I love her. So,
Wait, what?
So I'm like, this is the end of my road, man. Like my meal ticket's over with. So he kicks me out. He doesn't let her give me a ride back to wherever the I'm going. He gives me a ride, and the entire time, bless his heart, man, I feel like such a piece of shit for this now. It is funny. So he's talking to me about how, like, hey man, I'm willing to help you get your shit together. I don't know how I did it. Again, like the master manipulator, like when you want drugs, you'll Julia Roberts your way into making somebody believe anything, man. So not only did this guy kick me out of his house for around with his wife, he's like, hey, can I get you a little money to like help you out, like give you something, tide you over for the night? Yeah, you can, man. So we pull over to UDF, right? I'm expecting like 50 bucks or something. You know, I'm like, cool, I'm getting high tonight. He comes out of UDF, he's got this stack full of fucking 20s, man. Give me $600 in cash.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, dude, my up mine. I'm like, thank you, God. Thanks for making this happen, man. Thank you. Like, this is God. God be working, y'all. I blow through that $600 in no time, obviously. And I'm still also talking to this guy's wife. She finds out I'm a drug addict. She didn't leave me for whatever reason. I convinced her that, like, yeah, I'm trying to get off drugs. I'm, like, tapering back. I want to quit to be with you. And
are you with her right now?
I'll get there. All right. I'm now in a relationship with this woman who's married, still living at home with her husband. I would have whooped my ass if I was this man. Like, I would have stomped me out. I'd take me out to pasture and shot me.
For sure.
Yeah. As I'm in this relationship with this woman, this is probably the first time I've ever had the idea. I don't know, man. I've never been in love, really. I don't know how that shit works, but like with her, she made me feel something that was like, I don't want to say as good as drugs, but just under, and that's pretty high. She talked me into getting clean, stuck it out with me, man. I can't get clean to save my life. I love leaving day 2. I end up over here at River Vista. Day 2.5 comes, and I'm like, all right, guys, like, thanks for having me for these 2 days, but I'm gonna go ahead and go now. No, bro, that's not how it works here. This is a locked-in facility. You told us you were to kill yourself to get in here. So I was like, oh, dude. So I sit through there for 5 days. Day 5, like, I'm kind of feeling like myself a little bit. I call my lady. I'm like, hey, I'm getting the out of here. I go to the trap house and I like put on the pity face, like, listen, man, I've been detoxing for 5 days. Can you just hook a brother up with something? They give me like a 0.5. When I did it this time, man, for some reason, bro, I don't know why. I don't know if God finally like did his almighty wonder on me. As soon as I did that 5, that was the only time in my life I've ever called somebody and like told the truth. I said, hey, man, like, babe, I know I just got out of here, but I up. But I don't want to do this anymore. She puts me up in a room for a couple of weeks, and again, she's still married at this point. I go to this program, I do what they tell me to do, and it's absolutely insane what my life looks like today. I don't know how it works in the moment. I don't see it working, but yeah, I look back at it now, I was like, well, man, they were right. The lady, she rides it out with me the whole time. Again, I have nothing to my name, nothing. And then she's talking about leaving her husband to be with me. Yeah, for whatever reason, God put that lady in my life, and you know, I'm not gonna say I got clean because of her, but she definitely inspired me to want to be better, to try to be clean. So last June, we've been together about a year. She's still technically married. She gets a divorce. So we got married. I just bought a house in my name, which is absolutely unheard of, man. I couldn't buy a pack of cigarettes.
You're basically saying if you could do it, anybody.
If a up like me who didn't want to do it can do it, I swear to you, man, it's really not that difficult. I'm Aaron, brother.
Aaron, bro.
Yeah.
That was the best 3 hours.
Thank you, man.
Guys.